Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to Vote Prep Blueprint 2026 Part 2, brought to you by S. Chand Publishing. In Part 1, we focused on competency-based questions, built a strong foundation for Class 10th and 12th CBSE board preparation, and tested our knowledge through quizzes across 11 subjects. I'm Yugen Singh.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Okay, so can you hear me all?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so in part one, we focused on competency-based questions, built a strong foundation for class 10th and 12th CBSE board preparation, and tested our knowledge through quizzes across 11 subjects. I'm Yogendra Singh, and it's my pleasure to host you once again for this next series. Over the next 2 days, we'll dive into time management strategies, topper tips for attempting papers, exam anxiety management, and practical revision techniques. And of course, at the end of each session, we'll also celebrate our quiz winners. To begin, it's my honor to introduce our first speaker for today's Class 10th English session, Ms. Deepti Chawla, an accomplished English language teacher and curriculum developer with the Delhi Board of School Education. Ms. Chawla has extensive experience in teaching, training, and curriculum design. She has collaborated with NCRT, SCRT, and Delhi University, and is a Fulbright grant recipient currently pursuing her MSc in TESOL at the University of Stirling, Scotland. We are truly privileged to have her with us today. Before we begin, a quick housekeeping reminder. Participants will be muted throughout the entire session. Please ensure you have a pen and paper to note important information. The chat box will only be enabled during the Q&A round and as required by the speaker. To receive your e-certificate, please fill out the feedback form that will be sent to your registered email ID after the session. Ms. Chavla, over to you.
Thank you so much, Yogendra ji. And a very warm welcome to all the students who have joined the session. So, students, good evening to all of you. And I'm sure that you all are excited to attend this session. I also understand that being in grade 10 and going to appear for your grade 10 examinations, it's a time where many of us feel nervous. But I would request all of you to attend the session today, and you will realize once you understand how you're supposed to attempt a question, and how to approach a question paper, you will find that you do not need to be nervous at all. And today we're going to make sure that you have enough tips, uh, enough tips to sort of approach and attempt the question paper in a way where you will feel accomplished. So, more than marks, and I would like to start my session by saying that more than marks, it's that sense of accomplishment, it's a sense of achievement that you all should feel rather than mere marks. Marks are also important, but at the same time, it is also important to feel that I have learned something and I have achieved something. So, that sense of moving a step beyond what you already knew, that is more important. All right. So we'll start the session today. Yogendra ji, if you could share the PPT. So students, while Yogendra ji is sharing his PPT and there are other friends of yours who are joining the session, let's quickly do a small energizer, right? So that all of you are with me on this. I would request all of you to open your videos and show me an object which is either red, yellow, or blue in color. Any object that is blue, red, or yellow in color. I can see Liksha showing me a stapler, I believe. It's red, I believe. Great, thank you. Others, a quick a quick show of anything red, yellow, or blue. Open your videos. I can see somebody else also showing me. Sai Shri, what are you showing me? Somebody shared a heart. Nice. Okay, another heart I can see. Great. Okay. I never thought that a heart is an object. Children, language, comprehension. Okay, so we need to work on that. I told you to show me an object. Is your heart an object? Please revisit. It's your most precious
Sorry, ma'am.
organ.
Sorry to interrupt. Is the PPT visible on the screen?
Yes,
Just to
yes,
cross check.
yes, it is.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, ma'am. Yeah.
We can move ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so somebody showed a book, somebody showed something else. Great, great. So all of you are here. So we can move to the next slide. So let's quickly look at what you're going to learn today, children. What are you going to learn? Uh, Next slide. So we're going to understand the structure and the marking of the CBSE English paper. The code is 184. So when you're attempting the paper, you are required to write the code. Remember this. Then we're going to recognize different types of questions and how we should approach them. We are also going to look at how to manage time and presentation of your answers. And of course, we're going to be confident. We're going to get our confidence today that this is a very easy task. It's not a difficult task at all. All right, let's move to the next part. Let's quickly take a look at the structure of the question paper. So, you all know that the total marks for your paper is 80, right? Time allocated is 3 hours. There are three sections in the paper. Section A, reading skills, which is of 20 marks. It has two parts, passage 1 and passage 2. We will discuss each of these sections in detail. Section B is grammar and writing. So, section B actually has two distinct parts. One part is grammar, the other part is writing. Grammar is also 10 marks, and writing is also 10 marks. And we'll discuss the choice and number of questions to attempt in each section as we move forward. And then you have section C, which is your literature and textbook section, which is of 40 marks. So out of 80, you must realize that literature carries 50% of the total weightage of your syllabus, right? Total question count is 11, and all the questions are compulsory. You may have in choice, in the sense that within question there may be choices, but with respect to all the sections and all the questions, there are no choices, right? And you should always read the instructions very carefully. Now let's go to our reading section, right? Okay, so there are two passages, as I told you, two unseen passages, 20 marks, 10 marks each. One passage is discursive type, the other is analytical type, right? And the type of questions that you are supposed to attempt are MCQs. MCQs could be factual, which factual meaning directly from the passage, but as CBSE is moving towards competency based assessment, many of the questions are inferential in nature. Even the vocabulary questions are inferential in nature. And you will have, of course, you will have some short answer questions, 1 to 2 marks. If it is a short answer question, it will mostly be 2 marks, but there may be a fill up, there may be MCQs, all of those will be 1 mark each. Now, a few tips to attempt the unseen passages. You need to read your questions first and then the passage. So what happens is many of us spend a lot of time reading the passage in detail first and moving on to the questions later. But it is always a good idea, and it saves time, that you look at the questions without reading the passage. So once you have an understanding of the type of questions that are going to be attempted by you, you will be reading the passage in a more nuanced way. So what happens is we read the passage, then we read the questions, and we have to reread the passage. To save time, read the questions first, then read the passage. So a lot of back and forth is saved, right? So you move question by question and you already have the answer with you. Okay, so highlight keywords while reading. By highlighting, Just use a pencil. Do not use the pen or any other mark on the paper. Put a very small dot or something that is not visible to anybody else, because it is punishable, as you all know. But for your own reference, just put a dot which you can later on release, erase. Also look for the words where the paper may ask you a synonym antonym question, right? And the clues associated with it. And when you're attempting answers, do not copy entire sentences from the passage. Always rephrase the sentences in your own words. uh, any which way, the questions that are going to be asked, you will not find a direct answer in the passages, so be mindful of that. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at how to approach the two passages. So total marks is 20. Passage 1 is usually a discursive passage, 400 to 450 words, 10 marks. Passage 2 is case based factual passage, which is around 250 to 300, again 10 marks. So, total reading length of your passages in all, including your questions, is close to 700 words. When we say 400 to 450 words, it doesn't mean that the passage itself would be 400 to 450. It is including your questions, that it is 400 and 450 words. So you do not need to feel very daunted that it's going to be a long passage that you will be attempting, right? And let's quickly take a look at what is a discursive passage and what's a case based factual passage. Discursive passage is usually a passage which explores an idea, opinion, or an issue. Say, for example, sustainability, technology, education. And it doesn't just present facts, it also talks in detail about various opinions associated with that idea or opinion. And it doesn't take a stand. Okay, it will give you more of a general picture, so where you will understand the tone of the author, what the author is trying to do. Even though so if it's a passage on sustainability, the author might not completely say that we should do away with plastic, but the tone might be that we should discard the use of plastic in a way that minimize the use of plastic. So overall, the tone would be of suggestion or persuasion. So this is how you identify the tone of a discursive passage. And then we have case based factual passage, which presents some form of real world data or a study, which may or may not include visuals visuals in the form of a graph or a table. uh, Mostly, if you do get a graph, it would mostly be a bar graph. Usually the grade 10 papers avoid a linear graph, or a pie chart. You may get a pie chart or some form of a survey report where you will find tables, a tabular form of data, and you need to elaborate upon it, look at it and analyze that data, right? Now, the kind of questions, as I told you, there will be MCQs, 1 mark each, then short answer questions which are 30 to 40 words. Now, these questions not just assess your comprehension, they also assess your vocabulary skills, your inferential skills, where the answer is not there, but you have to deduce the answer. You have to evaluate a statement and then give an answer, right? Okay, let's take a quick look at the type of questions that may appear or usually you will find in the paper, right? On the next slide, if we look at the next slide, so there will be factual or recall based questions. The focus is on understanding the passage, and competency is to retrieve explicit information. Retrieving explicit information means that the passage will provide you the direct answer, maybe not in those many words. You may need to paraphrase, but the question may begin like according to the paragraph. Any which way, in CBSE, each question will tell you mostly which paragraph is that question associated with. In the literature section, which story is the question from. So you will get the context overall, right? Then inference type questions, where the focus is on how you are analyzing. Why did the author say this? What can be inferred from author's use of these words? So over here, it's not just inference but also vocabulary, right? So you have to deduce the implied meaning. The meaning is not given to you straightforward. It's not a literal meaning. You have to deduce it. So slightly figurative in that sense. Then vocabulary in context, of course, where the focus is on assessing how well you can apply your linguistic skills. So use words accurately in context. Find a word that means use of these words or this phrase in this particular sentence suggests that the author was trying to establish. So whether it was an argument, whether it was an opinion, whether it was correction or an assessment, whatever it was, so that's where vocabulary in context would also come in. Interpretation and tone is also associated with this. You have to evaluate, identify the author's attitude, tone, purpose. What does the writer suggest? Why does the writer suggest this? Which aspect of language does the why the author has used this comparison, right? And then application type questions where you're supposed to create, extend the idea to real life. How can this idea be used? Something which is not there in the text, some question which is beyond the text, right? So the section analysis, if you look at it, is if there's a passage on, let's say, indigenous crafts, so a short extract, 1 to 2 sample questions, how to identify tone. Now in this kind of a passage, you will have questions which are related to sustainability, culture, eco-friendliness, all of that, right? Yogendraji, the PPT is not visible.
Give us a minute, Deepti ma'am. We are sharing again. Just 1 minute.
Sure, sure, sure. So, students, in case you have any question, as we move forward, let me finish this. Please note down your questions and keep noting them down. And during the Q&A, you'll get sufficient time uh, to ask your questions, and I'll respond to all of them. All right. We can move to the next slide. Actually, beyond that, so if we can go to the slide number 9. Slide number 9, just before this. Yeah. So students, if you look at these questions, these are the kind of questions that you get. How are aesthetic appeal and final lines connected? Now this is a question that doesn't have a straight answer in the passage. Similarly, if you look at the type of question here, question number 6, complete the following appropriately. The one likely reason why more than 40% of the students still chose ballpoint pens for creative tasks, even though microtip pens are better suited for such activities, is. Okay, children, can you quickly type in the chat box what these questions, which kind of passage these questions may be from? Quickly type in the chat box. Would it be a discursive passage, or would it be an analytical or a case based passage? Just type in the chat box quickly. Would it be a discursive passage? Yes or no? Okay, seems like many of you are finding it difficult to type. So let me quickly tell you, anything to do with percentages, anything where they're supposed to analyze percentages and questions like these, it is usually a case based or an analytical passage where you are supposed to analyze, right? Okay. Now let's quickly take a look at section B, which is grammar. It is of 10 marks. Usually in this section, so section B begins, section A is over. So out of in section A, what happens is in section A, you will get 2 passages and you will get a limited number of questions. There is no within question choice for you. Okay. No within question choice in uh, section A. In section B, in grammar. So the grammar is of 10 marks. However, you will get 12 questions, out of which you will be selecting and choosing 10 questions which you would like to attempt. The topics that the grammar section will cover: tenses, modals, reported speech, determiners, editing, and error correction. In editing and error correction, you will find prepositions and subject verb concord. All right. Okay. So now let's quickly take a look at question types. In grammar section, you will get fill in the blanks. You will also get multiple choice questions, and you may get correction tables. So you will get a question wherein there will be a sentence, and in the next a table, a tabular form, where on one side is a sentence, on the other side you will have to write the corrected sentence, something like that. Now, tips to attempt the grammar section is: revise rules through examples. Do not overthink. Grammar questions are pattern based. They are always pattern based, and there's always a pattern to it. You can look at a couple of sample papers, revise, practice, and you have a good resource by S. Chand, um, which will help you revise this, which is the rapid revision series. And Yogendra ji will tell you more about this rapid revision series. So keep attempting, keep reading. For error correction, the first thing that you need to look for is the subject verb agreement, right? And by subject verb agreement means checking the tense. There shouldn't be any double negative marker, right? So there cannot be verbs, two past tense verbs in the same sentence. So checking all of that. Now let's quickly take a look at, on the next slide we have examples of the kind of questions that you get. The kind of questions that you get is, say for example, first one, let's take a look at that. Fill in the blank by using the correct form of word in the bracket for the given portion of market research. The special subscription of newspapers are well dash to make reading interesting for school students, are well illustrated. So this should be past tense in the sense. Second is, so this is the error correction table that we were discussing. Identify the error and write the correction in the given sentence from a life skills book. The road to success is not the bed of roses. Now, in this sentence, the issue is that of determiner, right? So the error is the, and correction is a. Now, over here, it is always better to write, since it is the road to success is not the bed of roses, not write not the bed and underline the, and then write not a bed, because the is used twice in this sentence, right? So this is how you need to attempt, so that the teacher or the person who is evaluating your copy knows what error you have corrected, right? I am so happy to see my plants again. They So this is how you attempt your grammar section. We'll move to the next slide. Okay, so we come to the writing section. Now, within the writing section, again, there is in choice, not between the types of question, but there are two questions. So, till now, we have done passage one, which is question one, passage two, question two, grammar is third. Now, you've come to 4A, 4B, and 5A, 5B, right? So, 4A is your letter, 4A and 4B is your choice of letter. Now, this letter could be a letter to editor or some official or an authority. The word limit is 120 words. Try to stick to 120 words. And when we say 120 words, we do not include format in it. Do not ever include a format in your word limit. It is your main content which is evaluated vis-a-vis word limit. Then paragraph writing based on given data or situation. Till last year, you were getting a sort of a visual data. You were getting, the paper was sort of sharing tabular form of data or a graph or some form of visual representation that needed to be analyzed and written upon. This session onwards, it's not just going to be that, it's going to be situation based. uh, and you are supposed to analyze those situations and then write a paragraph stating your opinion and justifying your choice. So when you attempt such questions, it is very important what kind of vocabulary you are using, the expression that you are using, right? It cannot be a simple expression. So certain specific words that go with justification, right? Now let's take a quick look at letter. You're all familiar with the format: senders, address, date. Sorry, can you go back to the slide, the previous slide? Yeah, sender's address, date, receiver, subject, body, closure, right? Subject comes right after data, right after the date. So you write the receiver's address, subject, then dear sir, ma'am, whoever you want to address the letter to. Okay, use very clear sentences and transitions. Uh, you need to have an opening paragraph which sort of states what the question is asking you. If the question is asking you to write up to the education secretary about the lack of cultural clubs in your school, then I would like to bring to your notice the lack of cultural clubs in schools. So whatever the question is asking, that's your opening line for the starting of your letter. State your position, because the word limit is very less, 120 words. You cannot afford to miss the point. So the point is stating your position right at the outset, at the moment you begin writing the letter. Then in the second paragraph, you provide some supporting arguments or some evidence. When I say supporting arguments, why is it required? What will be the benefit of having a cultural club? So when you provide that supporting argument, it adds weight to your initial thesis or your statement that they are required, right? Supporting arguments, and then conclusion, where you express thanks and you're looking forward to something happening, or if you're writing it to the editor, them publishing the letter, right? So then these are the three very distinct parts in which you should write that letter. Each paragraph, there has to be a transition, and there are always linking words, which requires a separate session altogether, because we are we do not have enough time. But remember that there should be connectedness in the three paragraphs, and then you conclude with a solution, suggestion, right? And then thanks and all. Remember, it doesn't matter howsoever little you write. If you're finding it difficult to write, write the basic question, whatever you get from the question, the thesis statement, and try to provide some evidence. If you do not have the correct information, you can always cook up, because we are not checking factual clarity in this answer. We are only checking your capacity to be able to write. We understand that at grade 10 level, you may not have data at your disposal, but you have language. So cook up some evidence, cook up some data. If it's a letter to your school regarding providing fresh foods at the canteen, provide a study in 2023 on eating habits of children has concluded. Now the study could exist or not exist. We are not going to fact check. But because you have cited that study, it is providing a very strong evidence to your letter. I hope you all understood this, right? In case you have a question regarding this, please note down. We'll move to the next slide. These are general tips for writing as you are practicing now. This is not for the exam per se, but quick tips. Always plan, list main points before writing, draft, maintain formal tone and logical flow, refine. So you won't have time to refine your letters during exam writing. Stay within limit and review whatever you've written. Review. You always can strike out and change your word, right? We'll move to the next slide. and look at which language skill and which competency is being assessed. In letter writing, we assess your application and creativity. Like I said, you can cook up things. In analytical paragraph, you cannot cook up, because in analytical paragraph you will be provided with a situation or a case, and you will be analyzing the provided case. So you will be providing a very specific reasoned evidence based writing. You cannot cook up anything here. So, for example, let's quickly take a look at one example that in the next slide, where you are supposed to you are supposed to write a reason-based argument. So, the question is: you are the president of the debate society in your school. Two guest speakers, Mr. Rajan Sharma and Miss Meera Kapoor, have written to express their interest in participating in your upcoming debate competition. Below are excerpts from their letters. So there are two excerpts. I could not include it here because of lack of space. So they are going to share two big excerpts about Rajan Sharma and Meera Kapoor. Now, as a student, what you are supposed to do: analyze the information is in a paragraph, justifying which guest speaker would be a better choice. Consider factors such as experience, relevance to the topic, and audience engagement. Now, see, they have provided, it's a very, very important thing, children. This is like a hack. Okay. Now they have asked you to consider factors such as experience, relevance to the topic of the debate, right? And audience engagement. So the paragraph that you will be writing for about 100 words, it should focus on these 3 points definitely. Now this is a 5 mark question. 5 mark question will assess whether you have excuse me, sorry. So the 5 marks are, two are for language, three are for expression. Now, in expression, these three become very important: experience, relevance to the topic, and audience engagement. These are the three answers that the evaluator will look for when checking your answer. Okay. So every question will give you such prompts where you can simply write on the prompts suggested. Now this kind of question very, very smartly suggests what to write on. If you write your paragraph related to these ideas, and of course present information which is there in the excerpts, you will definitely get a 4 on 5 very easily. Okay. It seems there is some issue with the PPT.
Yes, it seems. Let me just share
Sure, sure.
again.
No problem.
You
All
just
right.
need to tell me which slide am I
Yeah.
supposed to show for active. 15 was you were doing?
I was doing 15, but we can now go to slide 17. So, children, these are the things that you need to keep in mind when you are writing your letters or your case based analytical paragraphs, where you analyze and provide information. You will always get the cues in the question paper. Uh, and if you follow those cues, you are sorted. You don't need to think too many things from outside. Okay. Now, let's quickly take a look at the literature section, which is 50% of the paper and needs your attention. We can go to the next slide. So, we have three types of questions: extract based questions, short answer questions, and long answer questions, right? So, these extract based questions are from your both the textbooks, which is Footprints Without Feet, and your um, first flight. So in as question number 6, there will be 6A and 6B. 6A will be from first flight, 6B will be from Footprints Without Feet. Story based questions, and you have to attempt any one. All right. In the next one, 7A and 7B, the questions will be from two poems. The questions from the poems are not going to ask you to tell who the author was, or when was this particular story written. Same with the poetry. Nobody is going to ask you who the poet was or which poem these lines are from. Those kind of questions were asked way before. We do not ask these questions anymore, right? The questions are going to be analytical in nature, and of course inferential in nature as well. Tips are to read the extracts very carefully, identify theme and tone, use textual references or quotes, answer in complete sentences, and for the long answers, include intro, body, and conclusion. Now, for question number 6 and 7, when you attempt, each is of 5 marks, right? So you will get, these are called reference to context questions, where you get the poem, and you get we can go to the next slide. So the extract based question, which is question 6 and 7, two overall, but the marks are 10, and there will be number of questions within it: one MCQ, one fill up, one short answer, a mix of different types, right? Skill targeted is interpretation and contextual reading. Now, going to question number 8, which is short answer questions. There will be 5 questions. You will be attempting 4. So within question there will be choice. Similarly, within question 6, you can choose to answer 6A or 6B. 7, you can choose to answer 7A, 7B. There will be 2 prose, 2 poetry based questions. In this, there you have to attempt 4 out of 5, and the total marks will be 12. Sorry, I am missing question number 9 here. Now question number 8 is from footprints, no, sorry, the question number 8 is from first flight, and question 9 is from footprints without feet. So in question number 9, you will be, it's not mentioned on the slide you are looking at. In question number 9, you will be attempting any 3 questions. Okay, so 6 marks. This is conceptual understanding. And then there is, of course, long answer questions. Question 10 and 11 are 2 in all. Again, 10A, 10B, 11A, 11B. In question, there will be choice, 6 marks each, which is critical and comparative writing. Now, let's quickly take a look at the kind of questions you get. Though this is from the book that saved the earth. Look at question number 1. You all must have read this. But look at the question. What does the pause indicated by the dash in the line? It was dash, but here let me turn on the historioscope and show you, convey. Now the correct answer is a point of suspense and anticipation. And the look at the choices. It can get confusing. So be very aware. Read your stories and your poetry very well, children, because if you really want to attempt your literature section well, you need to be very familiar with your stories and your poems. It's not about reading it once, reading it and understanding the finer nuances of these texts. Otherwise you will not be able to attempt this. Based only on this passage, it, you may also feel that it is a reflective moment of deep thought. It could also be a sense of impatience and frustration, but the correct answer is a point of suspense and anticipation, which you can answer when you have read the story, when you have read the text very well. Same goes for next questions. They're not easy questions, in the sense you may get confused, right? How do the stage directions, such as historian turns on projector and spotlight on historian goes out, contribute to the atmosphere and understanding of the scene in this part of the play? Now this is talking about the type of texts, stage directions. It is talking of the genre of the text. You are supposed to comment on that. You are not supposed to comment on the story or the context. You are supposed to comment on the type of text. Now you should be very very aware of the type of poem that you have read. Is it a free verse, or is it a rhyme scheme based poetry? What type of poems you have read? What types of stories or texts you have read? Is it a narrative? Is it a biography, autobiography? Is it a play? Is it a short script? Is it an extract from a larger work? You need to be aware of all of that. So these are the kind of questions that are going to be asked. They're not going to be simple straightforward questions from the passage given. So these are the nuances you need to be aware of. Read the question well, and you will understand what the question is asking you to do. Because if you do not understand the question, you may not be able to answer it well. You may feel that I answered it well, but uh, there are very fine lines of difference, right? So this is how the paper expects you to respond now. If we go to the next slide, let's quickly take a look at the question number 10 and 11, which are the long answer questions. Now see, these are also very interesting questions, and why you need to be very aware and thoughtful about how to approach these questions. So how does literature like The Baker from Goa, Kurg, and Tea from Assam contribute to promoting tourism and raising awareness about regional cultures and traditions? Now, this is something that you will not find in the extract. The extract is more about the breads of Goa, how, the smells affect. Kurg is all about tea. Kurg is all about the greenery, tea from Assam. Now, what happens is so the answer expected from you is very, very different. The answer expected from you over here is that it plays a significant role by showcasing unique cultural, historical, natural elements of these regions, highlighting those specific elements of these regions. Each narrative describes local tradition, landscapes, lifestyles. uh, Now these kind of words, this vocabulary is also important. The baker, then you can actually choose to talk how Goa affects, how Kurg. So baker from Goa highlights Goan tradition, cultural significance of the baker's role by focusing on local customs, a nostalgia of childhood memories, where everything is becoming very standardized, homogenized. You go to any city, there is a McDonald's and a Domino's. How this sort of impacts and brings to your notice the rich heritage of Goa, right? Then Kurg introduces us to rich history, distinct culture. uh, so all of that, hospitality. Tea, of course, tea gardens and the whole experience of tea estates, cultivation, and experiencing the beauty. Now these depictions overall makes effective tools for promoting tourism by encouraging people to visit, right? Now this is the expected response in this answer, which, yes, to an extent it is there in the text, but more as a supporting argument. It is not the answer is not there directly. You can, the answer is yours. You can pick your evidence and your supporting arguments from the text. Same is the case with the poems. Now look at the question related to the poem. The poems, the trees. Can we go back to the previous slide, please? The poems, The Trees and a Tiger in the Zoo, resonate the theme of importance of freedom and the desire to break free from any kind of dominance. Now, you need to talk about the two poems and how they are conveying the same idea, right? So, this is how you need to approach questions in 10 and 11. So, a very critical opinion, critical, and so in question number 10, so for example, in A, you are going to write more or less a discursive passage. In B, you are going to write more of an argumentative or a opinion based passage. And in question number 11 B, you're going to write a critical appreciation, on the role of surgery. Now this is more textual in the sense how this particular aspect is important in the story. So you will see that questions from footprints will be slightly different in approach, and questions from uh, sorry questions from the other text will be slightly different. First flight will be slightly different in approach, right? So let's quickly take a look at the next slide. This is more or less a summary of your literature questions, right? So I'm not going to repeat it because I have more or less discussed these ideas with you. I would suggest keep your responses short and precise. For a 3 mark question, the word limit is 50 words. So if you are writing, say, 5 to 7 words in a line, please don't go beyond 7 8 lines. And if you're writing 8 9 words in a line, please don't go beyond 5 6 lines, right? Keep it effective. Don't waste your time in writing more. Just write what the question is asking you to write. Okay. So, evaluation takeaways, remember that you are not going to answer direct questions. There, you will have to apply critical thinking, you will have to be creative, you will have to take a stand, you will have to have your own opinion and then support that opinion with the help of different stories and passages, right? Okay, so overall tips: attempt extracts first, quickest marks, keep your answers logical, structured, and original. Always underline keywords. When you are writing, if you underline the keywords, it becomes very easy for the evaluator. And overall, it fetches, inadvertently, it fetches more marks. If you underlined certain keywords, you will always get like 1 mark or 2 marks more. In overall, say, overall scheme of things, you will get more. Okay, so we don't need to focus on this, we have already talked about it. Now let's go to mistakes that cost marks. What are the mistakes that we make which cost us marks? Next slide. um, do not write long irrelevant answers. Letter, 1 page, right? 6 mark question number 10 and 11, when you attempt, is 1 to 1.5 page. Nobody is interested in reading 2 3 pages. 100 words you can easily fit on 1 page, 1 page of your answer sheet. Do not ignore word limits. Do not compromise on formats. The formats are important. For the letter, the format is of 1 mark, but that mark is awarded if the letter is there. If the letter is not there, the format mark is not awarded. Please make sure that you read questions very carefully, because if you do not read questions carefully, you will not attempt what you are required to attempt. Also, work on your presentation skills. I do understand that not all of us have great handwritings. I don't. But if your organization is better, and you can provide some space, and you can give space in between your answers, it will always be better, right? So, time management tips: reading section, give 45 minutes, do not spend more. Grammar and writing, 1 hour. Literature, 1 hour. Review, 15 minutes. Okay, please keep time for review so that you can check if you've missed any, or you missed a question, or you want to rewrite a question. In grammar, I would say keep 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. So 20 minutes for your 10 questions, your grammar section, 20 minutes for letter, and 20 minutes for your analytical paragraph or a case based paragraph. Literature, divide 1 hour. So in a way where you sort of, if possible, devote a little bit more time, spend less time on reading. Literature, for the last two questions, which are 6 marks each, keep at least 10 to 15 minutes each. And for the rest of the literature section, keep half an hour. If possible, bring 5 minutes here and 5 minutes from here. So keep 1 hour 10 minutes for literature, and keep 10 minutes for review and reading section, 40 minutes. You can do that also, depending on the speed at which you read. But this is a rough plan. Individual choice may vary, but if you keep it close to this, plus minus 5 10 minutes here and there, you will be in a good place. And it will be easier for you to complete your paper and do it well. Okay. Now, answer presentation. Now, when you write in an exam, we write to impress, right? So it's very simple. If it is organized well, you don't need to beautify it, you don't need to use 10 different colors, none of that. But leave space between answers, underline key phrases, um, use bullet points for clarity, and number answers correctly. Sometimes we fail to number our answers, which is very sad and bad. Okay. Preparation checklist before the exam. What you need to do before the exam: you need to revise formats and grammar rules. Like I said before, read all the textbook chapters and poems at least twice or thrice, so that you understand the story and understand the poem, and why an author has used a particular technique of writing, why a play is a play and a narrative is a narrative, what makes an autobiography different from a biography, why certain stage directions are important. So you need to be aware of all of that. Reading a story doesn't just mean knowing, being able to retell what the text was about. It is also about the style, it's also about uh, the structure, it's also about different elements involved. Okay. Practice sample papers. For that, you have a resource from Eschan. I would request Yogendra ji to share the link for students to be able to access that resource. Manage your handwriting speed. Also sleep well, not just before the exam day, in general also during practice. A quick summary: reading comprehension, section A; language accuracy, section B; grammar; written expression, section B; writing; literary appreciation, C, right? Section C, which is literature, where you evaluate and create. And of course, across the paper, you are required to think critically, analyze, evaluate. And moving on to the last section, all right, on the next slide, as you see, this is a quote from Marie Forleo: success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do consistently. So be consistent. Whenever you're feeling tired, read a story. Whenever you're looking for an inspiration, read a poem. Make it a habit of revisiting the stories and poems that you've read once or twice, right? Do make sure that you do that. Moving on to the next slide, where I'm going to give you three mantras: read smart, write clearly, stay calm. You may feel that you don't know the answer. Just think and reflect on the text. The question is definitely around the context of the text. It may not be directly from the text, like we looked at the bakers, the Goa, the Kurg question, right? It may not directly be from the text, but it will definitely be from around the text. So read the question smartly, write your clear, and stay calm, right? And it will be easy. It won't be difficult at all. Okay. Let's go to the next slide, please. How to cope. Keep anxiety in check. Don't feel pressured. Read, understand well, have like a fixed time that, you know, I understand that you're going to school and you're practicing, you may be going to your tuitions also, but keep a time every day. You will devote half an hour to English, half an hour to science. It depends where you want time, where and when you want to devote that time. So maybe on Monday you want to do English, on Tuesday you want to do Hindi, on Wednesday you want to do science, like that. Also, embrace challenges. Don't feel pressured. The pattern of asking questions has changed. Pattern, you may not be familiar with this pattern because that has not been there. It has evolved in the last 2 3 years. You may find it challenging, but you'll be able to cope with it. And always stay positive. Now, the last and the best bit of this presentation, I'm going to announce the award, right? For the quiz that you all participated in. Uh, Usually, Eschand, on the next slide, please. Usually, Eschand has three winners, but in English, two people were able to qualify. So, heartiest congratulations to Sahat. Sahat. Shahat. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name right. Shatadru, I believe. Shatadru Sinha Roy from the Lexicon School, Pune, Maharashtra, and P. Dhanya, Adhyapana School, CBSE, Madurai, Tamil Nadu. So, congratulations to both of you. Heartiest congratulations. And that was all about the the tricks and tools for attempting. Thank you so much. Now we can have your questions if you have any.
So students, if you have any questions that you want to ask, you can put your questions in the chat box. Ms. Chavla will be answering your queries. Any question if you have, you can put your question into the chat box. Am I audible, Deepti ma'am?
You are audible. You are
Yeah.
audible.
So
Yes.
students, if you have any questions that you want to ask to Deepti ma'am, you can put your questions into the comment box, into the chat box, and ma'am will be answering your questions. Okay, so ma'am, I believe students are not having any questions to ask. So that brings us to the end of session 1 of the day. A big thank you to Miss Deepti Chavla for guiding us through the subject with such clarity and depth. Before we move on, let's take a moment to congratulate our quiz winners for their outstanding achievements. Your hard work and preparation truly shine through, and being a winner reflects your dedication. Well done. We have 2 more sessions lined up today, so stay with us. The next session will begin shortly. Okay, students. So we will be just starting our next session after this session. You all have to join our next session as well. Thank you, Ms. Chavla.
Thank you, everyone, and all the best, students.